Hey, if you're even thinking about buying physical silver, you need to see this. There's one really costly mistake that could be the difference between a smart investment and, well, a pretty bad deal. In this explainer, we're going to unpack that number one mistake, and I'll show you exactly how to sidestep it. So, you're interested in physical silver. I totally get it. There's something really powerful about holding a real, tangible asset in your hand, right? Especially as a potential hedge against inflation and all the uncertainty out there. And look, you're not alone. It's a popular move for a really good reason. But what if I told you there's a hidden trap? What if one simple, super common misunderstanding, a mistake that people make every single day, could mean you get way less silver for your hard-earned money? That's exactly what we're digging into today. This is the one thing you absolutely have to know before you spend a single dollar. Okay, so here it is, the big one. The single most common pitfall is confusing collecting with investing. Now, I know they sound similar. They both involve buying silver, obviously, but they are two completely different games with totally different rules and, most importantly, very, very different outcomes for your wallet. All right, let's break this down because this is super important. On one side, you've got the stacker. This is an investor, and their primary goal, their only goal really, is to get the most silver ounces possible for the lowest price. But on the other side, you've got the collector. They're buying numismatics, and they're paying for things like rarity, beauty, and history. And this right here leads to the critical difference, the premium. For stacking, you're hunting for low premiums. For collecting, you're absolutely paying high, sometimes very high premiums. And what's the result? You get way less actual silver for your money. So to really get a handle on this, we've got to talk about what you're actually paying for. The price you see for any piece of physical silver is really made up of two fundamental parts. First up, you have the spot price. The easiest way to think of this is like the raw ingredient cost, right? It's the live, fluctuating market price for 1 ounce of pure silver before it's been stamped into a coin or poured into a bar. This is the baseline value of the metal itself. It's the same for everyone, everywhere, at any given moment. And second, and listen up because this is where the mistake happens, is the premium. The premium is everything, and I mean everything, you pay on top of that spot price. It covers the cost of minting, shipping, the dealer's cut, and, this is the big one, any of that collectible or numismatic value. This is the sneaky part. And wow, this chart just makes it crystal clear, doesn't it? Look at the generic silver round on the left. Almost all of your money, 90% of it, is going toward the actual silver, the spot price. The premium is just that little sliver on top. But now look at the collectible coin, a huge chunk of your money, a full 30% in this example, is going straight to the premium. It's not buying you more metal, you're paying for the story, not just the silver. Okay, I love this analogy. It makes it so easy to understand. Think about buying a bottle of water. You can get a generic store brand bottle, or you can get that fancy designer bottle that comes from a spring in the French Alps. They both have H2O, right? They'll both quench your thirst, but you pay a massive premium for the designer brand's story in its fancy bottle. It's the exact same idea with silver. Okay, so the theory makes sense, but what does this look like in the real world, with real money? Let's check out the actual impact in terms of ounces and dollars. This is where it gets interesting. Let's do a little thought experiment. Let's say you've got $1,000 to spend. If you go for a low premium bullion, you might walk away with around 35 ounces of silver. In that case, only about 3.5 ounces worth of your money went to paying that premium. Not bad, but if you took that same $1,000 and bought a high premium collectible, you might only get 28 ounces. So where'd the rest go? A staggering 12 ounces worth of your money was just eaten up by the premium. Same money, but a very, very different amount of silver in your hand. 7 ounces. That's the number I want you to remember. For the exact same $1,000, the smart stacker, who focused on low premiums, walked away with 25% more physical silver than the person who got lured in by that shiny collectible. That is a massive difference, and that's on just one purchase. Imagine that compounding over time. Okay, so here's the good news. This is a totally avoidable mistake. Now that you can see the problem and how big of an impact it has, here's the simple solution. This is how you buy smart and make sure your money is actually working for you. It really just boils down to this simple 3-step plan. First, define your goal. Be really honest with yourself. Are you here to get the most metal for your money, to be a stacker? Or are you buying a piece of art, to be a collector? Second, always compare the premiums. Don't just look at the final price tag. You gotta ask, what is the percentage over spot? And third, if you're a stacker, your mantra should be focus on ounces. That's your scoreboard. That's your metric for success.
When you get right down to it, avoiding this whole mess is about one simple, powerful concept. You have to know why you are buying in the first place. All right, so let's just quickly recap the big takeaways here. First, there is nothing wrong with collecting. It's just not the same thing as stacking for weight. Second, high premiums are the arch nemesis of the stacker. They directly cut down on how much silver you get. Third, it's your personal goal that decides whether a purchase is right or wrong for you. And finally, always, always know what your money is actually buying. Is it the metal, or is it the story that comes with the metal? I want to leave you with this one thought, because it really just says it all. Don't pay for a story if your goal is to own the metal. It's that simple. If you want ounces, buy ounces. Don't let a gorgeous design or a limited mintage story trick you into getting less of the very thing you set out to buy. And really, that's the secret, isn't it? The simple difference that separates savvy buyers from everyone else is just understanding the power of that premium. So the final question is for you. Based on your goals, which one are you? A stacker or a collector? Knowing that answer, well, that's the key to your success.